In the history of pirating and plundering, there were quite a lot of women who not only attacked ships and participated in battles along with everyone else, but also led ships and even pirate fleets that plainly terrified merchant ships. At the same time, women always remain women. Thus, commanding pirates, they established their own rules, which many might consider strange and wild. But for the pirates themselves, these rules were regarded as quite common. Today, let us tell you about pirate women. You're watching Flip Side of History. Don't let them go to their domestic shores. Princess Alwilda or Awilda of Gotland became a pirate almost by accident. Refusing to marry the crown prince of Denmark, the girl simply fled the island. Moreover, together with her friends, she changed into men's clothes and, having captured the ship, disappeared among the sea. Later, having met a pirate ship, the princess not only joined the fortune seekers, but after the death of the captain, she was in one voice selected leader. Alwilda was different in this matter. Unbounded courage and cunning ingenuity, unfailing composure and merciless cruelty to the victims. Cruelty, which even among other pirates was excessive, was considered quite normal for the former princess. The pirate was especially fond of Danish ships, as the girl took revenge of an unknown prince for her escape from her father's house. This has also never happened in any society of pirates, so that only because of belonging to a certain state, the entire team was ruthlessly murdered. But the paradox of this story is that when Denmark was tired of suffering grandiose economic losses from a pirate, a flotilla headed by the same groom and recognized by Alwilda went to destruction. During the duel, according to legend, the young people fell in love with each other, and the Princess of Gotland still became a princess, and then the Queen of Denmark. Although true, her husband took an oath from her that she would never return to pillaging. Revenge and betrayal. Almost the same trait, the merciless destruction of the country's ships, was characteristic of another famous pirate, Jeanne-Louise de Clisson, or also known as Lioness of Brittany. After her husband was executed by the King of France, the unfortunate widow, along with her sons, vowed to avenge her murdered husband and their father. Starting with forest robbery, Jeanne and her 3 sons went to England, where they received as many as 3 ships from King Edward III, on the condition that she would destroy the fleet of France and its allies. Jeanne actually turned out to be a great leader and organizer, and she was distinguished by truly bestial savageness. Prisoners were never taken under her rule, and even in the case of the capture of castles, all without exception were destroyed. For several years, the Breton lioness simply devastated the sea trade routes of France. It got to the point that King Philip ordered without any excuses the following: catch the witch, dead or alive, but the main thing is to catch her, damn it. The hunt for Jeanne's pirate flotilla, which began after that, eventually ended successfully. The main ship was boarded, and the pirate herself, along with her sons, simply betrayed her whole crew, quietly sailing away by boat. True though, the youngest son died on the way, and later the boat was washed up on the shores of France. However, let us know that Jeanne not only did not suffer punishment, but was also sheltered by a friend of her late husband, and the eldest son later even took one of the highest government posts. Revenge, marriage, and rules. Grace O'Malley in English, or in Irish pronounced as Granny Wallis, was the daughter of the chief of the O'Malley dynasty. The woman's father was already engaged in piracy, commanding a small flotilla, and the girl's attempts to prove that she was no worse than her father only caused a smile. Then she defiantly cut off her hair, in this way forcing her father to take her to the ship. After several months of meandering through the seas, the young lady studied maritime affairs so well that after the death of her father, she led the flotilla. At the same time, she married one of the pirates, giving birth to 3 children in marriage. After the death of her husband, the pirate again found a loving embrace, Hugh, who was 15 years younger. But soon he also died. Enraged by the death of her lover, Grace decided to take revenge on the McMahon dynasty, in battle with whom Hugh died. The pirates under the command of a woman besieged the castle of the dynasty, after the capture of which everyone was slaughtered without any regret. Thus ended the history and lineage of the dynasty. When there was only one castle left on the entire coast of Mayo under the name of Rockfleet, she captured it in a rather original way. Probably, according to her tradition, she simply married the owner, Richard the Iron Bourke, in Irish Richdiarden Burcht, from the Bourke dynasty. And a year later, having given birth to a son from him, Grace decided that enough was enough and locked herself in the castle, saying to her husband, "Richard Bourke, I'm divorcing you." The dismayed husband, by the way, decided not to mess with his ex-lover, simply leaving her this castle. In general, the woman was distinguished by exclusive originality, so when she was not allowed into the castle of Hoth because the whole family was dining, by order of grace, the son of the baron of the castle was taken hostage, and he was released on the condition that the baron promised to receive any visitor at any given time, and for guests there should always be a prepared table at the gates. Do not leave alive witnesses. That was the tactic that Lady Killigrew followed. Interestingly, in her life, the woman occupied a fairly prominent position. She was the wife of the governor of the city of Flammet, Lord John Killigrew. But she was engaged in piracy, so to speak, in her free time, and with the full support of her husband. Moreover, it was the complete destruction of everyone that allowed the pirate to avoid punishment for a long time, until purely by accident, before the attack on the Spanish galleon, the captain himself went ashore. It was he who became the only witness who later testified. Strict discipline and the death penalty for any violation. But of course, the wildest things were created by the world-famous Ching Shi. This amazing woman terrified the sea road so much that the governments of many countries were ready to pay any money for the capture or destruction of the criminal. The woman's extreme cruelty manifested itself from the moment when her husband, a well-known pirate at the time, Zheng Shi, died. The man created a decently large pirate fleet, at least 300 ships on which about 30,000 corsairs served. In essence, it was a full-blooded pirate naval army. After the death of her husband, Ching introduced extreme form of discipline in the navy, punishing death for any disciplinary violation. For one example, for an elementary movement from the ship to the shore, without the permission of the captain, the guilty person was simply executed without any indulgences. So there is nothing extraordinary, therefore, in the fact that thanks to this, the effectiveness of attacks has increased, and the fleet itself has increased almost sixfold. Unbearable brutality. Let's move in time a little. The most famous was the second Chinese pirate, perhaps even one of the most famous women in world history, Madame Shan Wang, who became the wife of the pirate leader Wang Kongkit. After his death in 1946, solved the problem of inheritance pretty simply. To rule out any competitors, after the visit of the deceased's assistants, she simply shot both of them, saying, "Well, unfortunately there are two of you, but the company needs only one leader." From that moment on, all competitors forever deserted tries to even come close to the leadership of the pirates, and Madame Wang became the sole boss. To exclude any possibility of identification, the woman either did not take part in the raids or was wearing a mask, so the authorities simply could not find her and detect who that person is. The most thrilling thing is that only for the photo of Madame Wang, the governments of China, Hong Kong, Singapore, Taiwan, Thailand, and the Philippines were set to pay 10,000 pounds, which at that time was truly large amount of money. The problem was that there were no applicants, because everyone knew what Madame Wang did to two Chinese who sent the pictures, which supposedly related to Madame Wang, to the Singapore police. Not long after, two dismembered bodies were discovered, on which lay a note. They wanted to take a picture of Madame Wang. Another of the pirates who arranged a meeting with the authorities to pass on information about Madame Wang did come to the meeting. However, he came with severed hands and without a tongue. After this incident, no one had the slightest desire to put a huge cross on one's own fate. There is, however, another intriguing thing, and it's that Madame Wang conducted pirate affairs in a civilized manner. Let us explain. The captain of the ship received a message stating that if he wanted the safe passage of the ship after leaving the port, then he had to pay from $20,000 to $150,000. Only in this case, the ship received full security guarantees. Refusal in any form, contrary to expectation, did not mean an immediate attack. Madame Wang did not attack the disbelievers at sea, she attacked them in the port. So when one company refused to pay, mines suddenly began to explode in its ships, and it's not difficult to conclude how this ended. The most ruthless and demonstrative massacre of witnesses, as well as the absolute observance of incognito, did not allow the authorities to find out who Madame Wang really was, and how many people she had within the squad. Assumably, this is one of the few cases in the history of the piracy when all information consists only of fragmentary facts, rumors, and legends, and undoubtedly, the most savagely executed traitors and gossipers. Thank you for watching this episode. We hope you really enjoyed it. Do not hesitate to subscribe, also leave a like, and watch our other episodes on Flip Side of History.